Before this story begins, I need you to do something real quick. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever been in a relationship where you slowly started disappearing, then this story is going to hit you harder than you expect. So make sure you subscribe right now, because this channel isn't just stories. It's the truth people are too afraid to talk about. Now listen carefully. Because what happened to me? It started with something so small, you would have ignored it, but it changed everything. I still remember the exact moment it happened. Not because it was dramatic, not because it was planned, but because of how unexpected it felt. His fingers brushed mine. That's it. No music, no lingering stare, no words exchanged. Just a small accidental touch in a quiet office. I had shifted slightly in my chair, reaching for a file, and for a fraction of a second, our hands met. But in that single moment, something inside me woke up. It wasn't just physical. It wasn't even about him. It was the feeling, warmth, awareness, recognition, a quiet but undeniable reminder that I still existed in a way I hadn't felt in years. My name is Sarah, and for a long time, I had forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Tom and I had been married for almost 15 years. From the outside, we looked like one of those couples people admire. Stable, comfortable, put together. We had good jobs, a decent home, routines that ran like clockwork, dinner at the same time, weekend errands. Even our arguments were predictable. Nothing chaotic, nothing dramatic. But that was the problem. Somewhere along the way, we stopped being alive. It didn't happen all at once. There wasn't a single moment where everything broke. It was quieter than that. Slower, like watching a light dim so gradually. You don't notice the darkness until it's already there. At first, I told myself it was normal. Life gets busy, work gets stressful, people change. That's what everyone says, right? But weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. And the distance between us became impossible to ignore. It wasn't just about intimacy, it was the little things, the things people don't talk about enough. He stopped touching me, not in the obvious way, but in the small ways that matter more than anyone realizes. No hand resting on my back as he passed by, no fingers brushing mine in the kitchen, no unconscious affection that says, I'm here, and I still choose you. We would sit on the couch together, close enough that our shoulders almost touched, and yet, it felt like there were miles between us. He would scroll endlessly on his phone, completely absorbed, and I would sit there, quietly asking myself a question I was too afraid to say out loud. What happened to the man who used to look at me like I was everything? The silence wasn't the hardest part. People think silence is what breaks relationships. It's not. It's the feeling of disappearing while sitting right next to someone. That's what destroys you. I tried to fix it. I really did. I talked to him more than once. I told him I missed him. I told him I missed us. And every time, he would nod. He would promise things would change. And for a day or two, they would. A quick hug, a distracted kiss, a small effort that felt more like obligation than desire. And then, just like that, it would fade again, leaving me exactly where I started. Lonely, even though I wasn't alone. The night we decided to try counselling, I had already started imagining life without him. Not because I didn't love him, but because I didn't know how much longer I could survive feeling invisible. That's how we found Dr. Chen. His office was different, calm in a way that almost felt unnatural. Soft lighting, muted colours. The kind of place that makes you lower your voice without realising it. From the moment we walked in, I felt something shift. He spoke gently, not in a rehearsed professional way, but in a way that made you feel like he was actually listening. Like every word mattered. And for the first time in a long time, I felt heard. Really heard. During one of the sessions, he asked Tom a simple question. Do you find your wife attractive? Tom answered immediately. Yes. No hesitation. No doubt. And for a second, I felt something inside me lift. But then Dr. Chen asked the next question. When was the last time you showed her that? The room went quiet. Not awkward, not tense, just still. And in that silence, I realized something painful. I didn't need Tom to answer, because I already knew. By the second session, Dr. Chen introduced something he called an experiential approach. I didn't fully understand what that meant, and if I'm being honest, it made me nervous, but it also made me curious, because at that point, something had to change. I couldn't keep living the way I had been. So when he looked at me and asked, "Are you willing to try something different?" I said yes, not because I was sure, but because I was desperate. That day, everything shifted. That day, everything shifted. But not in a loud, obvious way. There was no dramatic moment, no sudden realization, just a quiet change in the air, the kind you feel before you understand it. I stood in the center of the room. My heart was beating faster than it should have been, not out of fear, but anticipation. Dr. Chen explained the process slowly, carefully, like he knew exactly how fragile this moment was. 2 of his colleagues were there. Their presence alone made me uneasy at first, not because they did anything wrong, but because I wasn't used to being the center of attention anymore. For so long, I had learned how to shrink myself, to take up less space, to expect less. The goal, Dr. Chen said calmly, is not to cross any boundaries, but to help you reconnect with something you've lost. He paused, then looked at Tom. And to help you understand what she's been missing. It sounded strange, unfamiliar, maybe even a little uncomfortable. But when he looked back at me and asked, "Are you willing to try?" I didn't hesitate this time, because deep down, I already knew the truth. I wasn't afraid of what might happen. I was afraid of going back to feeling nothing. So I said yes. At first, it was subtle. One of them stood beside me, not too close, just enough that I could feel his presence, grounded, calm. The other shifted slightly and stepping closer but still keeping space. There was no rush. No pressure, just awareness. And then it happened. The first touch. A hand resting lightly on my arm. Simple, respectful, completely appropriate, but intentional. That's what made it different. It wasn't accidental, it wasn't careless, it was deliberate. And my body reacted before my mind could. My breath caught. Not because of the touch itself, but because of what it meant. Someone was paying attention, not out of habit, not out of obligation, but because, in that moment, I mattered. I glanced at Tom. He was watching, his expression tight, conflicted, like he was seeing something he didn't fully understand. For a second, I thought he might stop it, say something, do something, but he didn't. "Stay present," Dr. Chen said softly, not just to me, but to both of us. Another touch followed, a hand brushing gently along my shoulder, fingers lingering for just a second longer than necessary, not inappropriate, not intense, but meaningful. And that's when it hit me. Harder than I expected. It wasn't about the touch. It was about the attention, the intention, the awareness. For years, I had been standing right in front of my husband, and somehow, he stopped seeing me. But here, in this quiet room, for the first time in so long, I felt visible again. Something inside me woke up, not just physically, emotionally, mentally, deep in a place I didn't even realize had gone silent. "Tell her what you see." Dr. Chen's voice cut through the moment. He was speaking to Tom. Tom hesitated. I could feel it, the weight of the moment pressing on him. "I see that she's beautiful." The words landed, but not the way they should have, because it wasn't about what he said. It was about how long it had been since I heard it, and more importantly, how long it had been since I felt it. The session continued, slow, guided, intentional, every movement, every word, designed to bring awareness back into something that had gone numb. Nothing crossed a line, but everything felt close enough to one that it forced truth to the surface. By the end of it, I felt different, not fixed, not complete, but awake. That night, something unexpected happened. Tom reached for me. It caught me off guard. The way his hand found mine, the way he looked at me, like he was trying to remember something he had forgotten. For a moment, I believed it. I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this strange, uncomfortable process actually worked. And for a few days, it did. He tried. He really did. More attention, more effort, more presence. But effort isn't the same as desire. And you can feel the difference, because slowly, quietly, almost predictably, everything started slipping again. The distance returned. Not suddenly, but in familiar ways. Less conversation, less touch, less presence, like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how tightly you grip, it always finds a way to escape. So we went back. Again and again. Each session became something complicated, something I both needed and feared. Because for that 1 hour, I felt everything I had been missing. Connection, attention, desire. And every time, Tom reacted. Emotionally, internally. Sometimes I could see it in his face, sometimes in his silence, but it never lasted. Outside that room, we always fell back into the same pattern. Weeks turned into months, and then one day, he stopped coming. "I can't watch this anymore," he told me. His voice wasn't angry, it was tired, defeated. "But if it helps you, keep going." That should have been the moment I questioned everything. But I didn't, because deep down, I already knew why I wanted to go back. Without Tom there, the sessions changed, not in a dramatic way, not in a way you could easily explain, but enough that I felt it. Less structure, less explanation, more focus on me. What I felt, what I needed, and for the first time in years, I stopped feeling like I was asking for too much. I stopped apologizing for needing attention, for needing connection, for wanting to feel desired. Instead, I started accepting something I had denied for so long. I was worth it. 6 months later, Tom and I separated. There was no explosion, no final argument, no dramatic ending, just a quiet understanding that something between us